morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to the show. Josh Poed. We made it through another week, so we got some little bit to do today, and then I'm going to let you go for the weekend to go out and have some fun. Take your mind off all the problems in the world. All right, let's jump into things today with our date for today, our dream spell. Today is a blue planetary monkey day. A blue planetary monkey. Blue is the color of transformation. The planetary tone is tone number 11. It's called the planetary tone of manifestation. The monkey is the 11th symbol. The monkey's all about playing an illusion. And then the symbol, the guide for today, is the storm. Storm is all about self-generation. Altogether, the phrase for today, blue magnetic monkey guided by the storm, is, I perfect in order to play, producing illusion. I seal the process of magic with the planetary tone of manifestation. I am guided by the power of self-generation. And on the Gregorian calendar, today is Friday, August 12th, 2011. Now, one thing I want to bring your attention to right here, just to keep you reminded on this, is, see right here, it says Magnetic 18. That's the month we're in. We're in the first month. But instead of using the word month, we use the word moon. We're in the first moon. And the first moon, like the first tone, is called the magnetic moon. So we're in the first moon. It's 28 days long. It's called the magnetic moon, and we're on day number 18. So it's called Magnetic 18. Kind of gives a different idea to the way a calendar system works than the way that the one we usually use is down here. All right? There you go. That's our date for today. Let's jump over to our story. This is part 5 of the Philadelphia experiment. We've done 1 through 4 all week long, so this will close it up for you. This one's not as long as the other ones, about 5 minutes. I'll be back.
Teleportation. Some modern work in that field gives some perspective. It happens at Caltech in Pasadena on a table floating on a cushion of air. By shooting laser beams through a maze of mirrors, scientists produce an effect called quantum teleportation. It's the realization in miniature of something right out of Star Trek.
This is something that is so fantastic at this point in time, scientifically, that it almost is in the realm of science fiction.
However, scientists have succeeded only in teleporting subatomic particles called photons. What they don't foresee is how they'll ever be able to teleport any kind of solid object, let alone a 1,200-ton warship.
If I take an arbitrary state of 300 particles, quantum particles, just to write down what is that state requires more bits of information than there are particles in the universe. The notion that one could teleport a material system of any sensible size is just, beyond technical capabilities for any foreseeable future.
There is one small but intriguing link between teleportation and the story of the Philadelphia experiment. Albert Einstein is said to have masterminded the experiment, and quantum teleportation makes use of a principle that Einstein called spooky action at a distance, which is a mysterious interrelationship between distant objects.
In fact, it was Einstein who first pointed out this kind of resource in a 1935 paper, in a completely different context, not for use for teleportation. He actually brought it up as a counterexample to the theory of quantum mechanics.
Even if he didn't intend it, Einstein's theory became one of the inspirations for quantum teleportation. The provable facts behind the Philadelphia experiment are few, and there remain a few unanswered questions. Why would the Office of Naval Research be interested in a UFO book that contains the story of a disappearing Navy ship? And why would the author of that book commit suicide at the moment he was going to reveal all he knew? The story of the Philadelphia experiment has survived the debunking of its creator, Carl M. Allen. It has outlived Allen himself, who died in a Colorado nursing home in 1994.
The mystery and the myth continued to evolve. What it did do is that the believers began to separate Alan from the myth of his making. They began to extricate the creator from his story, and it began to take other directions.
The Philadelphia experiment has become the modern version of the ancient dream of invisibility. In Greek mythology, there is a magic helmet which confers invisibility. In Celtic lore, the Druids have enchanted capes that do the same. Today, we have a sailor's tall tale of a disappearing warship. It's a story with only a tiny anchor in fact, but deep roots in the imagination.
In March 1999, 15 men who once served on the USS Eldridge got together for the first time in more than 50 years. The veterans, now in their 70s and 80s, said they never saw any sign of experimentation and reaffirmed that the ship was never even in Philadelphia. They laughed about the so-called Philadelphia experiment and marveled at how such a far-fetched story took on a life of its own and still refuses to die.
Discover more about this and every History's Mysteries topic at HistoryChannel.com.
I'm Arthur Kent for the History Channel. Thanks for watching.
Tonight on the History Channel, named after the tradition in India of hunting snipe, a small, elusive bird that's hard to find.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear and take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. One if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
much. And this is Josh, and this is the UFO news for today. So here we go. I got a bunch of stories for you. I think you're going to like some of these. We're going to start off at theexaminer.com with Tracy Pierce in an article entitled "Slow Moving UFO over Chengdu City was like a mothership," says the witness. Hundreds of people in Chengdu City, China observed a large UFO as it slowly moved across the cloudy, starless sky on Monday, August 8, 2011. One of the witnesses was a man named Mr. Yu who spoke with SCTV4 about the event. Mr. Yu told reporters that the UFO was large, slow, and moving at a high altitude. He said also that it reminded him of the film Independence Day and that 2012 is drawing near. Although one witness was able to capture the unidentified flying object on video, clear footage of the UFO is not currently available. According to Global UFO Reporting Center, China's state-run Sichuan TV4 reported a UFO in Chengdu City last night in China. Unfortunately, there wasn't a clear video taped at the sighting. However, many observers were interviewed by the TV channel, and according to one of the observers, Mr. Yu, the object was sitting at a very high altitude, hiding in the clouds. It was large like a mothership, moving very slow. Reminded him of Independence Day. Next story here is also from the Examiner, and this is Roger Marsh says UFO 5 miles wide. A series of odd events unfold in Missouri. A dish-shaped object, possibly 5 miles wide, was reported hovering over downtown Kansas City, Missouri, while a series of other odd events were reported from the same region, according to August 10, 2011, testimony from the Mutual UFO Network Witness Reporting Database. I saw a huge... the witness is a member of MUFON and had just left her office and was traveling west on 23rd Street in nearby Independence, Missouri, near Noland Road on August 7, 2011. I saw a huge disc-shaped object, gray metallic, hovering at what looked like north half of downtown Kansas City, directly to my west and slightly north. You can see the Kansas City skyline clearly from the high hill I was driving on. The woman is an investigator with MUFON and had received a report of similar craft spotted over South Kansas City. The UFO appeared to be very large. The object did not move, and I saw it clearly for about 2 to 3 seconds, which was long enough to know it was something. It was a disc shape with flat sides and a dome top. I could not see any details or lights. I estimate to be about 5 miles wide. Pretty big UFO. That sounds like a mothership. Alright, now moving right along. Our next story here is about a UFO sighting that took place in Denver, Colorado. We do have footage of this. Let me play this for you. You can see with your own 2 eyes.
Type of biological life. It definitely has extremely very.
Okay, let me back up a bit here.
Hello, this is Magnet Flipper Al, aka. This is recorded on the 10th of August at 8:55. This object is some type of, biological life. It definitely has extremely very fast acceleration. And anyway, it looks like it maybe has wings on it. I'm not sure. Again, it's there was no moon. It's totally dark. Looks like it's like sitting in the air and it's hovering. You have to make your own decision as to what this is. And I'm kind of really perplexed what this is. Again, this is in high definition. Please download it and make your own decision what you think this is. I'm open to all suggestions. There's a lot of strange flying things out there in the sky over Denver. Thank you very much.
Alright, that one's quite fascinating. The way it zips and dips around, it does look something, does look like something obviously flying. Well, duh, right? Just at the very least, it's a UFO that's flying, but it does look like, I don't know. I'm not going to make any speculation at this point, because I need to get a closer examination myself. Alright, moving right along. Now, the other day on the front page of the papers were this talk about Pentagon's new supersonic plane. Well, guess what? They lost it. I know. Kind of crazy that they could just lose this I'm guessing, multi-million or billion-dollar plane gone. Pentagon's new hypersonic triangular plane Falcon HTV-2 goes missing. Falcon HTV-2, a hypersonic aircraft that's capable of flying 20 times the speed of sound, making it the fastest plane on Earth, went missing during a test flight. Ground controllers lost control with the arrowhead-shaped plane less than half an hour after it took to the skies. It is no coincidence that the plane is basically a large, or is it no coincidence that it's basically a large black triangle? There is a story that goes along with this. You got to hear this.
This is IB Times TV, Thursday, August 11th. I'm Kate Cameron Lau. A test flight of the Falcon HTV-2, a hypersonic plane capable of reaching speeds roughly 20 times the speed of sound, ended prematurely early on Thursday when ground controllers lost contact with the arrowhead-shaped plane less than half an hour after it took to the skies. Launched at 7:45 a.m. Pacific time from the Vandenberg Air Force Base northwest of Santa Barbara, the aircraft soared to the upper reaches of the atmosphere aboard an 8-story Minotaur 4 rocket before being unleashed from its protective cover. The craft then nosedived back toward Earth before leveling out. Instead of speeding westward for 30 minutes before plunging into the ocean about 4,000 miles from Vandenberg, as originally planned, at approximately 20 minutes into the flight, an announcement was made by the DoD's Advanced Research Facility known as DARPA via Twitter stating, quote, "Range assets have lost telemetry." The latest tweet to be posted by DARPA since then reads, quote, "Downrange assets did not reacquire tracking or telemetry. Has an autonomous flight termination capability. More to follow." No further details have been released at this time. The Falcon HTV is an unmanned aircraft that can travel up to 13,000 miles per hour. The aircraft is fast enough to travel from Los Angeles to New York in just 12 minutes and withstand temperatures hotter than the melting point of steel. It also has the ability to send a missile to an identified target within an hour. HTV-2 is DARPA's second test flight after a few changes were made when the first attempt failed last year and crashed into the ocean just 9 minutes after takeoff. The aircraft was never recovered. Kate Cameron Lau, IB Times TV.
So what do you think happens when they probably spend millions or billions of dollars on these planes and then they just disappear? Do they just write that off? Are the American people just supposed to say, oh, well, there's $1 billion down the drain. We got plenty of room in our budget. We can afford it. Is that how that works? Or do they take these planes off the radar, say that they're missing, and they're not really missing, and they're still doing programs and testing on them? And do you think that's a possibility? I wouldn't put anything past them. I don't think you should either. All right, here we have a couple of other sightings. We've been playing sightings that people have been having off of airplanes, and here's another one. One of them is from this year, from July 12th, and one of them looks like it was from another time, possibly 2009. I'm going to have to zip ahead here. All right, you got the plane's flying. We all know what airplanes look like. And then there you go. Oh, where it happened. There it is. Right down here, you see a little object right there, a little round object. Now, we know what planes look like, right? We also know what planes don't look like. And that does not look like an airplane that I have seen. Probably not an airplane that you have seen. And it's just kind of hanging out, flying around, floating. Alright. Looks like another one here. What's he looking at? Okay, we're about to see something, I'm guessing. Alright, looking around, looking around. It's got to be there somewhere. Alright, is this what he's talking about right there? Yeah, something just kind of showed itself and disappeared again. Alright. That one looks like they're going to make another run at it here, showing you. Alright, that one wasn't quite as good as the first one. Definitely the first one we saw was a little round object, sphere-like object down there. So, okay. We have a poll. This poll is over at AboveTopSecret.com. AboveTopSecret.com, and it's a poll on UFOs. It says the results are in from nearly 20,000 respondents, and while most of the results aren't far off from what we might have expected, there are a few surprises buried in the distribution of options, of opinions. The first survey was a basic temperature check on the broad stroke issue of UFO sightings and off-Earth intelligence, along with a handful of the more popular sayings. There will be at least one and possibly more follow-up surveys that will dig deeper into the more paranormal and psychological effects of the topic, as well as encounters and abductions, which is all way too deep and complicated for one survey. So let's check this out here. I believe our solar system and Earth has been and is currently being studied or otherwise visited by one or more extraterrestrial species. Well, we have the overwhelming 55.8% agree, while 33.8% disagree. I believe that of the non-hoax UFO sightings reported in the media and the AboveTopSecret.com represent advanced stellar vessels operated by extraterrestrial species. 42.7% is the biggest, and that is the number. And now see, there's this few. Let's see, I believe that few of the non-hoax. So people don't necessarily believe that they're not all from space. I believe that blank of the non-hoax UFO sightings in the media. This is the same poll as the one above it. Oh wait, this is a little different. I believe that blank of the non-hoax UFO sightings reported in the media are actually flight tests of advanced top secret terrestrial technology. So few people believe that. And then here, what is your opinion of the Stevensville UFO sighting? 52.1% said maybe ET, while 5.3% said it was definitely terrestrial. And what is your opinion of the O'Hare Airport UFO sighting? 50% said possibly ET. Well, 3.1 say it's clearly terrestrial. Phoenix Lights case, we've got pretty even here between maybe ET and extraterrestrial and definitely terrestrial. So the opinions are pretty close there. What is your opinion of the Rendlesham Forest UFO case? The overwhelming decisions are here for extraterrestrial, 42%, maybe at 37%, and only 4.7% think it's terrestrial based. What is your opinion of the Roswell UFO crash? Again, we have 3.2% says extraterrestrial, 24.3% says maybe, and only 6.1% thinks it was terrestrial based. One or more terrestrial governments either possess or are aware of the existence of advanced extraterrestrial technology and are proactively attempting to cover up the knowledge of intelligence beyond the Earth. We have 63% strongly agree and only 4.5% strongly disagree. And last one here says, if you believe in the presence of extraterrestrials, which of the following do you feel represents the most significant harm to the perceived credibility of ufology and the ultimate disclosure of extraterrestrial intelligence? Well, 35.8% of people said that people who create hoaxed images and videos. So people believe this is the biggest problem, that when people are doing that. 25% of the people said that big problem was mainstream media focused on sensationalizing these or mocking them. 12% said charlatans promote the weak or fabricated evidence. 9.8% said true believers who reject logical, skeptical analysis or alternative explanations. 9% are people who habitually debunk and report UFO sighting. 4% are UFO websites and bloggers who promote poor sightings to gain attention. And then 3% are people who just don't believe in the existence. So you can see all kind of different results across the board. Lots of good questions indeed. So you can go check it out for yourself today. 2 more stories here. This next one, another planet's been discovered. It says coal black alien planet is darkest ever seen. An alien world blacker than coal, the darkest planet known, has been discovered in the galaxy. The world in question is a giant the size of Jupiter known as TRES-2b. NASA's Kepler spacecraft detected it lurking around the yellow sun-like star GSC 3549-02811, some 350 light-years away, in the direction of the constellation Draco. The researchers found this gas giant reflects less than 1% of the sunlight falling on it, making it darker than any planet or moon seen up to now. It's just ridiculous how dark this planet is, how alien it's compared to anything we've seen in our solar system. And this was a quote from study lead author David Kipping, an astronomer at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. And our very last story, this is a pretty cool one here. Jodie Foster helped revive SETI. It says, E.T., the phone line is open and SETI is waiting for your call, and apparently Jodie Foster is too. The nonprofit Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, otherwise known as SETI, S-E-T-I, was forced earlier this year to shut down its Alien Telescope Array its Allen Telescope Array used for alien signals due to budget issues, and it has raised enough money to resume search for life beyond Earth. The institute reached its goal last week, raising $200,000 to operate the telescope through the end of this year. The funds came from over 2,000 private donors, including the actress Jodie Foster, who played fictional SETI scientist Ellie Arroway in the 1997 movie Contact. Just like Ellie Arroway, the ATA is good to go, and we need to return it to the task of searching newly discovered planetary worlds for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, Foster wrote in a note accompanying her donation. The Allen Telescope Array would turn science fiction into science fact, but only if it is actively searching the skies. These stories are all up at our page at firstcontactradio.com. On the right-hand side, UFO News is the link you got to click on. And there you have it. That's our UFO news for today. I'm going to jump away for a song. I'll be back momentarily, and we're going to continue on with the rest of the show. I'll be back.
Headline edition, July 8th, 1947.
One day, I was looking to the sky. I saw it. Up above the clouds, it was a silver shiny disk floating high above the ground. Then I saw them waving to me. It was E.T. and his family. Something happened up the street from the ground. The sky had shot a UFO down. Roswell.
E.B. didn't make it home. We all know that story, right? E.B. didn't make it home. And one day, Big E.B. may show up to pick little E.B. up. How about that? Alright, we got a lot of crazy news coming up here. Now, did you watch the debate last night? I know it's just the beginning of the debating season that's getting going here, and they're just getting warmed up, and there's a long time till they decide on who actually the candidates are going to be, and a long time till the vote even takes place. But they get started now, and they get themselves all warmed up because they need to they need to get their information straight, though, because they still lie at these things. I know it's a shock, right? Politicians lying. I mean, you would think politicians would be a little bit more honest about what they're doing, but it's still not the case. And every time that they have one of these debates, there's always the fact-checking that goes on. Now, what was interesting is, the debates were on Fox News last night, and they obviously have their favorites. They like Michelle Bachmann, and they like, what's his name, mind blank here, Mitt Romney. These are their two big candidates, and they talk about them all the time. Huntsman, they like this guy, and they also like, Palente. And they focus on them. And the others, they just kind of leave them in the wayside. Ron Paul, they really don't care to hear about Ron Paul because Ron Paul's doing better than the candidates. He has better answers. He answers the questions and talks about things of an important nature. Newt Gingrich, man, that guy really impressed me last night. He stepped up. He spoke about things that he needed to. He mentioned things that were secret, and he talked about how we needed to get back on track. He really got the attention of a lot of people. Unfortunately, they go back to the same old standbys. So here's what it says. Fact-checking. Republican debate strains some facts. Michelle Bachmann cast her opinion as a settled fact when she told the Republican presidential debate Thursday that a key element of President Barack Obama's health care is unconstitutional. Mitt Romney danced around in an attempt to learn why he stayed largely mum on the epic debt limit standoff between Obama and Congress. The first big GOP debate of the primary season brought viewers a fury of claims and counterclaims, not all built on solid ground. A look at some of those claims and how they compare with the facts. Bachmann spoke of the unconstitutional individual mandate several times, a reference to a requirement for people to carry health insurance, a central element for the 2010 federal health care law. The facts. Nothing is unconstitutional and courts declare it to be so. The constitutionality of the individual mandate has been challenged in lawsuits in a number of states, and federal judges have found in favor and against. The Supreme Court will probably have the final word, but for now, the individual mandate is ahead of the court, and the first ruling by a federal appeals court on the issue by the 6th U.S. Court of Appeals in June upheld the individual mandate. Tim Pawlenty, to correct you, I have not questioned Congressman Bachmann's headaches. The facts. Pawlenty is hardly dismissive when the news came out about Bachmann's history of severe headaches, and even if he did not go after directly on the matter, all of the candidates, I think, are going to have to be able to demonstrate that they can do all of the job all the time, the former governor said when he first asked about the migraines suffered by the congresswoman. There's real no time off in that job. Well, someone tell that to Obama, who's on another vacation. There is no mistaking that Pawlenty was leaving open the question of whether Bachmann's health history has made her fit to serve as president, but later he tried to clarify his remarks, saying that he was not challenging her on that front, and the flap was merely a sideshow. Bachmann says her symptoms are controlled with prescription medication that have not gotten in the way of her campaign or impaired her service in Congress. Now, Romney. I find it interesting with Romney because every time he's asked a question, he takes the question, and the first thing he'll do a lot of times is he'll attack the opponent. So instead of answering a question of what he's going to do, he will tell you what Obama's doing wrong right off the bat. And then he continues on, and he never gets to the answering the question you asked that was actually asked of him. Romney, on last-minute deal to avert the national debt default. I'm not going to eat Barack Obama's dog food, all right. What he served up was not what I would have done if I had been president of the United States. Well, the facts. Romney was defending himself against criticism that he took a pass when political leadership was most needed in the mighty struggle to negotiate an agreement to raise the debt ceiling. In fact, he was largely missing in the crux of the debate. Romney consistently backed a Republican cut, cap, and balance proposal that would have combined debt spending cuts with a constitutional amendment to balance the budget. But the proposal had no chance of becoming law and settling the crisis, and leaders in both parties knew. It was one of the several initiatives brought forth by both Republican and Democrats for show before both sides got down to the authentic bipartisan negotiations. During that process, Romney did not lay out a prescription of what was achievable in the time of divided government. Supporting the earlier GOP bill was far cry, stating whether he would have signed or vetoed the final debt limit against legislation because rejecting it risked an unprecedented federal default with potentially disastrous consequences for the economy. When he faced questions at his campaign stops, he said he wasn't privy to the behind-the-scenes negotiations, and his campaign aides refused to elaborate on his thinking about the proposals in serious play. Now, Rick Santorum, he said the problem that we have with spending has exploded. The government's averaged 18% of the GDP as the percentage of the overall economy, and we're now almost at 25%. Revenues are down about 2 to 3%, so if you look at the problem is spending, not taxes. The facts. The former Pennsylvania senator might have been mixing statistics on federal spending with federal revenue. The White House Budget Office has estimated the federal spending this year will equal about 25% of the country's $15 trillion economy, the highest proportion since World War II, but federal spending has averaged nearly 22% since 1970. In fact, the federal spending has not been as low as 18% since 1966. Since the 1970s, federal revenues have averaged nearly 19% of the U.S. economy. The year revenues are expected to equal just over 14%. And we can go on and on. There's a lot of these different type of things that happen. One thing that was quite interesting was I noticed how they took Bachman and Palente and they kind of put them as if they were in a little boxing match with themselves. They kind of zoomed on the two of them, so they were side by side, kind of looking at each other. It was just the two of them on the camera, and then they were asking questions of them that were intended to, to incite a fight. And that's what was really going on between these two. It was a little back and forth match until some of the other candidates spoke up and said, "What about us over here? Why are you wasting time with this nonsense?" So that's what they do. They waste time. They don't really care. They don't want to help you. If they really wanted to help you, they would answer your questions. But they can't answer your questions. Mitt Romney doesn't want to answer your questions. No. He's not interested in that. But here is an interesting result. They had a straw poll, and it was an online poll. It says, according to the corporate media, the establishment Republican debate at Iowa State University in Ames last night was a toss-up between Mitt Romney, Tim Pawlenty, Michelle Bachmann, and the phantom candidate Rick Perry, who will announce tomorrow. Average folks in Iowa, however, have chosen the candidate predictably given short shrift by the establishment media, Ron Paul. Paul won hands down in an online poll. He won hands down an online poll held prior to the Ames straw poll that will be conducted tomorrow. The Ames poll is considered by most the first real test of a presidential candidate's organizational strength in Iowa. Results of the poll are as follows. First was Ron Paul with 44% of the unique online votes. Second was Herman Cain with 16% of the votes. Third, Michelle Bachmann with 10%, followed by Rick Perry with 8%. Tim Pawlenty and Mitt Romney came in at 5%, while Sarah Palin, she wasn't even there, she got 4%. Somebody else got 3%, and Rick Santorum got 2%. At 10th place was a tie between John Huntsman and Newt Gingrich with 1% of the unique online votes. And it says here, Perry and Palin have yet to officially announce they are running for the nomination, so they will not be included in the Ames straw poll tomorrow. So Ron Paul has a lot to say. He spoke about the Constitution. He had some really important things to say, and there was a lot of applause when he spoke. You don't hear the other candidates talk like that. They're not standing behind anything. They're just giving political speeches, not actually solutions. It'd be nice if people listened. Hopefully Ron Paul is going to really get an opportunity here to do what he can do, and he's not going to be held back by the powers that be in the shadow government. We'll see how it plays out, because there's a lot of Ron Paul supporters out there, and maybe this will be the time when the independent movement will step forward. Maybe he'll be the guy that will step forward. We'll find out. As I said, it's just getting started. There's a long time to go. Now, this is another story from InfoWars, and we've all heard of the mark of the beast. Well, perhaps this is the mark of the beast. It's an electronic skin tattoo with medical, gaming, and spy uses. A hair-thin electronic patch that adheres to the skin like a temporary tattoo could transform medical sensing, computer gaming, and even spy operations, according to a U.S. study published Thursday. The microelectronics technology, called Epidermal Electronical System, EES, was developed by an international team of researchers from the United States, China, and Singapore, and is described in the journal Science. It's a technology that blurs the distinction between electronics and biology, says co-author John Rogers, a professor in material sciences and engineering at the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. Our goal was to develop an electronic technology that could integrate in the skin in a way that is medically, mechanically, and physiologically invisible to the user. So there you have it. They're going to computerize individuals. They've been planning this for a long while. I think it was back in the 90s when I was seeing this card from the Department of Navy, a MARC card, M-A-R-C. This is not new technology. This is not a new idea. If you watch television for a long while, the Bionic Man, has been posing this idea. Then came the Bionic Woman, and I believe was there a Bionic Dog as well. Now in more recent times we had the series Jake 2.0 where he had these little nanobots that were inside of him, and he was part human, part computer. And then more recently we have Chuck, and the looking at the device and having the whole computer bit of information of the intersect put into his head, and he's now a walking computer. So the idea of humans and computers merging together is not new. You've heard these stories for a long time. They're just being put into play. Now here is an important story to look at here. This is in regards to the riots in the UK. And you've all heard what's gone on, but here is something. It says, and this is from a blog at the UK, at theguardian.co.uk. At 2:52 p.m., this was from what day? This was, I guess, just the other day. In response to an inquiry by our correspondent Paul Lewis, the IPCC has sent a statement to The Guardian. Analysis of media coverage and queries raised on Twitter have alerted us to the possibility that we may have inadvertently given misleading information to journalists when responding to very early media queries following the shooting of Mark Dugan by MPS officers on the evening of the 4th of August. The IPCC's first statement, issued at 22:49 on the 4th of August, make no reference of shots fired at police, and our subsequent statements have set out the sequence of events based on the emerging evidence. However, having reviewed the information the IPCC received and gave out during the very early hours of the unfolding incident before any documentation had been received, it seems possible that we may have verbally led journalists to believe that shots were exchanged, as this was consistent with early information that we received from an officer that had been shot and taken to hospital. Any reference to exchange of shots was not correct and did not feature in any of our formal statements, although the officer was taken to the hospital at the incident. This is significant as much of the early media coverage reflected an exchange of shots, with some media outlets clearly implying that police had been shot at first. The issue is one of the key grievances of the Dugan family. Now that is a big deal, because see, when they say there was a gunfire exchange and that this guy Mark Dugan shot first, kind of justifies their actions on why they would shoot him. However, if there wasn't an exchange of gunfire, if he didn't shoot at them, changes the story, doesn't it? Then the family has something to complain about, because he was shot while not shooting at anybody. Changes things. We'll have to pay more attention to see what's really going on with this story, because obviously the truth has not been revealed, and they are admitting it right here, right now. Alright, now we're going to move along here. We got two stories from, well, we got Dutch Since. We got this one here talking about some damaging winds and hail. So let me play this one first, so you know where to expect this.
Hey YouTube, Dutch Sense here. It is 1:04 a.m. Central Time on Friday, August 12th, 2011. And I hope everybody's going to have a good weekend. Right now, to my viewers who live in the Kansas City, northwestern Missouri, eastern Kansas, all the way down to Springfield, Rolla, Joplin, and right down into Tulsa. Now, this may be a little premature for this far south, but definitely for Kansas City and northwest Missouri. Please, guys, pay attention to this storm. It's got tornadic marked, tornadic activity, which means severe winds, damaging hail, strong damaging winds, blue is hail detected here. So you're looking at a massive storm, and it's making just a line right for Kansas City. Down below this video, I'm going to put links for the Missouri and Kansas Department of Transportation, and you can watch the cams in the area and see if there's any severe weather coming towards your direct area. So please be safe, folks. And I'm going to be doing a heartbreak forecast in a little bit. Obviously, we've got a lot of different signals that are appearing on the radar here, so we'll go into that separately. All right, folks. Cheers. Much love.
All right, so there you have it. If you're out in the Kansas area, be safe. Now, got another one here from Dutch. I want to play this one because he's talking about an event in this one that has happened before. 2 other times. You're going to be amazed by what you're about to hear right now.
Hey YouTube, Dutch Sense here. It is 11:50 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, August 11th, 2011. And we are here north of North Platte, Nebraska. Again, North Platte is right here, and we're going just northeast by a few miles, and you see a tornado marked. Okay? Now that's no surprise to me at all. Here we are at 92 and 3, or 92 and you could call this 83. The intersection of 92 and 3 constantly gets hit with tornadoes. Now what we have right here, I've looked on Google Earth, it looks like an antenna array of some kind, right in here. And I have forecast this area to be hit with tornadoes at least 5 times. And 5 times it's been hit with tornadoes, each time that I've forecasted it. And here we are again, tornado popping up. Oh, we've got a new panel here. Let me just reload it here. That would be 5 times that I've seen a ring come out of the area, and 5 times that the area's gotten hit with a tornado. And to me, that's just too big of a coincidence. The ring epicenter comes out from right here. So we are within the ring's epicenter. And now when you look, you can see several other ring edges. I'm not going to be doing a HARP forecast off this. I just wanted to show you the confirmation of another tornado passing through the highway 92 and 83 intersection. All right, folks, hang in there and keep an eye on it.
All right, can you believe that? Another one. If I'm going to help out the situation here, let me see if I can, because apparently they're not getting it. So, idiot out there in Nebraska who's got the field of antennas. Yeah, you, dumbass. Your antennas are attracting tornadoes. So do the country a favor and go out there and fix them, unless, of course, you're doing it intentionally. And if you're doing it intentionally, well, you better be careful before the people of Nebraska show up at your place of residence, drag you out, tie you to one of those antennas so you can wait for the next tornado, because you're causing a whole lot of problems. So again, if you're the idiot out there in Nebraska that has this field of antennas that are attracting tornadoes, do something about it, because you're causing problems for Nebraska. Now, hopefully that didn't offend anybody, because I didn't use any bad words. But hopefully the idiot out there will get the point. And maybe the idiot's the government and they don't care. That's just kind of how it is, right? The government doesn't care. Okay, now we're over at spaceweather.com, and this weekend there's a meteor shower. Actually, it starts tonight. The Perseid meteor shower. It says, Earth is entering a stream of debris from a comet, Swift-Tuttle. Source of the annual Perseid meteor shower. International observers are now reporting more than 20 Perseids per hour, a number that will increase as the shower reaches its peak around the 12th and the 13th. Last night in Arizona, photographer Marsha Adams caught a Perseid meteor shooting over Ship Rock near Sedona. The meteor was bright enough to be seen through the glaring moonlight that was illuminating the landscape, notes Adams. On August 10th in Dayton, Ohio, photographer John Chumak recorded a flurry of Perseids. More than 36 bright meteors rained down over my observatory last night, he says. Many were brighter than I expected, so there's still a chance for folks to see some Perseids despite the glare of the bright moon. The best time to look is Saturday morning, August 13th, just before dawn when the moon is low and the meteor rates are peaking. Some observers will also see the International Space Station, which coincidentally flies over many U.S. towns and cities during the shower's peak. You can follow the ISS tracker here from this website. Also be sure to tune into Space Weather Radio to hear the ghostly rings of Perseids disintegrating over the U.S. Air Force Space Surveillance Radar. It makes a great soundtrack for any meteor watch. And it says, just to recap, it says, what's that was said? The hours before dawn are a great time to see the satellites. All right. And here we had one more parting shot. It talked about the solar flare that took place at active sunspot 1263, which just 2 days ago produced the most powerful solar flare of the new solar cycle. An X7 has left the Earth's side of the sun. It is now beginning a 2-week transit across the solar far side. We can still see signs of it ongoing activity. However, on August 11th, an eruption from the sunspot was hurled a bright CME over the sun's western limb. For the next 2 weeks, no blast from the sunspot will be Earth-directed. For the next few days, however, we could see a few more parting shots. Readers with solar telescopes are encouraged to monitor developments. Okay, so this weekend, look to the skies. I look to the skies every day, but over the course of the weekend, you should have a chance to see some of the Perseids, and that should be quite an entertaining sight. Who knows? Maybe you'll look up and maybe you'll see something else. Maybe you'll see a new planet pull into the solar system. Maybe Nibiru is going to show up this weekend. It's not really scheduled to, but there's a lot of things going on. Anything can happen, and most certainly will, right? All right, that brings us to the end of the show. Sad but true, sad but true. And we're going to close things out with a meditation, a little prayer. Send us on our way. So, my friends, go ahead and close your eyes. Close your eyes, my friends, and I want you to imagine in front of you is a finish line. And I want you to imagine yourself crossing that finish line, arms raised in victory of having arrived at that finish line. See the tape of that finish line breaking around you. And feel the victorious feeling that you feel having accomplished your goals and crossed over that finish line this week. Now hold that thought in your mind's eye and hold on to that feeling of success, because that feeling is available for each and every individual upon this planet, my friends. Each and every individual along this planet can feel the success of accomplishment as we move forward along the path of life. Now, as you're moving along the path of life, I want you to turn all your chakras on. Make sure they are all activated, starting from the bottom of your spine. Color is red. Raise that energy up from the bottom chakra to the one above it. Imagine the color orange. Raise the energy up from that chakra to the one above it, just below the rib cage. Imagine the color yellow. From your solar plexus, raise the energy up to your heart. Imagine the color green. From your green heart chakra, raise the energy up to your throat and imagine the color blue. From the blue throat chakra, raise the energy up to your third eye. Imagine the color violet. And then finally, to the top of your head, your crown chakra, imagine the color indigo and just see the light going up into the cosmos, bright white as it connects above. And there you are, connected above and below. Below and above. Now, allow the energy to overflow your body. And as it flows over your body, see the line of light around you. This is your spiritual armor. This is there for your protection. All you have to do is imagine that you are turning it on, and you are turning it on. Now, I want you to think in life about the most challenging problem you're facing these days. Think about the most challenging problem you're facing in your life right now. and see it in front of you. Imagine that problem as a mountain. And that mountain is as big as you imagine it to be. This mountain is your problem. And I want you to see yourself walking, climbing up the side of that mountain, climbing up your problem. And as you do, imagine that there are rocks, and there are trees, and there are other different types of branches and bushes and all kind of other things in your way as you climb up that mountain. And despite the mudslides, despite all the falling debris, eventually you get to the top of that mountain. You conquer the problem that you are challenged with in your life these days. And when you get to the top of this mountain, you realize that this mountain is not a mountain, but simply a little molehill, simply a little bump in the ground. And you laugh when you realize the reality of the situation. When you realize how big you've allowed that problem to become in the reality of how big it actually is. And now, having resolved your problem, continue on your journey. And feeling good about the accomplishments in your life, send out love and light all around the planet. Just send it all around the planet. Imagine everybody around the planet receiving this light, receiving this love. Imagine them all sending light and love to others. And see the entire planet illuminated. Imagine this green color of love from our heart chakras filling the planet, being absorbed down by the planet, sending it up into the cosmos, healing this universe that we are all a part of. Now, as we're going into this weekend time, a good time for people to shake off their week, shake off all of the hard work that they've done and relax and rejuvenate. Let's imagine ourselves rejuvenating over the course of this weekend. Imagine you're like a battery standing out in the sun, and just imagine the light of the sun filling you with energy, washing away all of the tired energy that you feel, and filling you with new strength, renewing you with an energy of life. And with that energy, let's bring ourselves and our energy and attention back to the present moment. We'll do so on the count of 3. And as you're bringing yourself back to this present moment, just think about the world, and just think about good wishes for the world. Wish good wishes for everyone around the planet as you're coming back to the present moment. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. And that is it, my friends. Happy, healthy, and whole. Good vibes for the world. Let's go out and have a great weekend. I know there's a lot of challenges that we face, but we can get through them. We can all get through these together. We just have to remember we're all in this together. So as you go out into the world this weekend, enjoy yourself. You've worked hard. We've all worked hard. We're tired. We're stressed. But we have each other. And because we have each other, we can get through all of this. All right? Have some fun. The troubles are still going to be here when you get back. They always seem to be around until we finally wipe them out once and for all. We just got to deal with them. So go re-energize yourself. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Have fun. And I'll be back next week. I hope you are too. For Dirk Bradshaw, my name's Josh Poet. Enjoy your weekend. I'm out of here. Peace.